Okay, let me read for the radio audience here. You're listening to the Commonwealth Club of California radio program. Today, we're discussing redroomdotcom, an online community for writers. Let's follow up on that. I wanted to talk a little bit here more about there is a business to writing, and I know people who aren't writers, there's a very romantic view. In fact, writers have a romantic view of writing as well, I think mostly. We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't. But there is a business side, and we should talk about that for a second. The usefulness of something like this, because making that connection, there's the publisher way off in distant New York or wherever they are, and then there are the readers and you. And this is, I guess, a way. Belle, it sounds like you use this a lot as well.
I use it quite a lot. I had my own website, which I built. And when Jane Goodall, writer of Naked on the Page, author of Naked on the Page, invited me, I thought, why would I need another website? And so I sort of let it sit for a couple weeks. Then I went on redroom.com, and I found it was a lot more fun than my own website because I can talk to people. Like the very famous Emily Dickinson poem, "This is my letter to the world which never wrote to me." On Red Room, I can write and I will get an immediate response. And at times I have grammatical errors and I'm hoping, I hope nobody's read this, but before I could correct it, somebody else has already responded. And
the internet's been very helpful for that. Yeah.
And I write at, I have very strange hours. I get up at about 10 or 11 in the morning and I go to bed about 4 or 5. So it's really nice to just, be in Red Room because you feel like you're in a physical space with other writers. And you fall in love with other writers. I mean, I have a friend there, Jessica Inklin, who I don't want to meet because I have friends I can hug, friends who will, bake cookies or pies for me. But I don't have a friend who will really just go for the important things. And her thoughts are struck off in white heat, and I can respond quickly. So I just love it. And your question is about the business aspect of it. I had actually gone onto the website redroom.com thinking, oh boy, more ways to promote my book. But now I'm just doing it for the fun of it.
Okay. Peter, what do you use the site for?
When Red Room came out, I felt a little bit like Belle did. I was starting the research for my book, and I haven't used it as much. But hearing Bill talk, and I realized, God, I've got a drawer full of essays that fall in the cracks of, they're not something I'm going to put on the daily costs, or since 9/11, I've run an email mailing list of kind of high-quality articles in newspapers that I pull from around the world. And so it's not always appropriate to that. And I thought, wow, what a perfect venue. So I actually just sort of got a fresh look at it. I have a website. I've linked Red Room to my website, but I kind of like the idea of a community that's you can be a little irresponsible with. You can drop in and talk to people, and they're not going to get hinky if you don't call. They're going to keep taking care of themselves and going on. And it's also just a place for all these orphans that I have, because I write all the time, and I became an actor so that I didn't have to write for money. I describe myself as a writer who makes his living as an actor. My sister is also a writer. And so I've been blessed by making my living someplace else so that I can just write what comes over the spinal telephone, whatever I'm thinking at the moment. And to be honest, just hearing Bill back in the green room talk about it, I thought, oh, that's what, yeah. So I'll be using it from tonight on.
We have a convert on our panel. Ishmael, what you talked about some of the activist causes that you do. I mean, is this a vehicle for that?
Well, I think every member of my family has a book out, or 2 books. So, a couple of years ago, my mother published a book. She began writing a book when she was 74 and finished when she was 84. And you can buy her book at Barnes & Noble. It's called Black Girl from Tannery Flats. It gives us a different viewpoint about life in the South up to Martin Luther King, from the viewpoint of an ordinary person, not from the viewpoint of a star in the movement. So that book is very revealing. My daughter, my oldest daughter, Timothy, wrote a novel entitled Showing Out that was published during the same year. My spouse, Carla Blank, published Rediscovering America, a big book for Random House. And my youngest daughter, Tennessee, who's running for school board in Oakland, is the author of 5 books. Her first book was published when she was 10. And she's right back there taking pictures. She likes taking pictures a lot. And so her new book about her education, which is a shocker, right? A very exciting book will be published this year from Counterpunch Press. Hers is the first book written by an insider. You know, most of the people who write books about the experience of African Americans and Hispanics in schools are middle-aged guys like Kozel or Robert Coles. So this is a point of view from someone who really went through the process. So Tennessee keeps us in touch with what's happening with Red Room every day. She has a bulletin on what's going on at Red Room. And cyberspace has opened up new possibilities for us. I published a magazine called Conch, or Conch, and I began publishing the print edition in 1991. And I was lugging these print copies around the country and getting very little response. And then I went to cyberspace, and I get mail from all over the world. We've been publishing writers from all over the world. I did a tour of the Middle East, and when I returned, I was able to publish stories by students in Lebanon. I was the first American writer to visit Lebanon since the Civil War. Students from Israel, where they have hip-hop, classes in hip-hop at Israeli universities. Where it's sort of shunned here. Every day we read these editorials, you know, we got to do what's this guy's name, Victor Hansen, or this guy in the Chronicle. Everything got to do away with hip hop, you know. But they have it over in Israel, Jordan. And so when 9/11 happened, I published the responses of 45 writers from all over the world, how the rest of us feel, because as usual, the space for opinion in this country is monopolized by, you know, some of the same people, same background, same class. So we were able to get people from Jordan, from Lebanon, and from Israel to talk about 9/11. So we see our community as a worldwide community of writers. That's how you get different points of view. And my spouse here, Carla, and she doesn't want me to bring any more manuscripts to her from Africa, but we published 2 books from Africa. As a result of my trip there to Nigeria, where poets can't get published. They publish books by these generals. The autobiography of some general has a big party where he's spending all this international monetary money on a party. I don't know what it is. But anyway, we published 16 writers from Nigeria, and then we came back with 16 women writers from Nigeria. The misconception here is there are 3 African writers, and they all write French or English. And that's not true. If you go throughout Africa, you'll find people not only commit cannibalism, like in the New York Times Magazine section, you know, they have their idea of Africa is like cannibalism. There are people, intellectuals and writers all over Africa, in Zimbabwe where I went, in Nigeria, Ghana. And so we're publishing some of those. And the editor of the book the 2 books that Carla edited, the African editors, as a result of the books we publish, is in the United States now at the University of Illinois Conference, promoting those 2 books. The next project we're doing is 16 writers from Kenya. And that's in, so, look, I have contracts with too many people, Random House, Perseus. I'm getting ready to sign a contract with Doubleday. I'm like 70 years old. I think my job is to service younger writers. And I think Red Room has the same goal, is to serve writers who don't get any publicity, who have something to say with fresh ideas but don't have the space or don't get covered.